Today's podcast is brought to you by Quantrix Modeler Introductory Training, teaching the fundamental foundation that you need to become a Quantrix master. Go to gumroad.com/lowercase l/Quantrix training to learn more. Hey, welcome back to another Netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Fantastic that you joined me today for episode number 166, where I'm going to show you some recursion awesome, enabling scale and complexity in Quantrix. I was working on this problem the other day, and I just thought to myself, Quantrix has to be the greatest thing that was ever invented. I have here a model that I was working on the other day. What I wanted to do is I actually wanted to create a waffle chart in Tableau, and in order for that to happen, I needed to set up my data in Quantrix a little bit differently, more so differently than I've ever done before. But what I needed to do here in Quantrix is in this matrix where I have a product line, say snowshoe, and then I have a salesperson of Billy and Brian, and then I have some part codes. What I need to do is I needed to associate a percentage here by rows and by columns. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to have this be 1/4%, this be 1/2%, this be 3/4%, and this to be a full percent, if you will. And then on the next line, I needed this to be 1.25%, 1.5%, 1.75, and then 2%. And then again, 2.25, 2.5, and so on throughout the entire matrix, right? And I want this to happen by product line. So how are you going to do this? Well, it's really simple using recursion. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that row.1, and I'm going to put the 1 in single quotes, and I do that because it is a number, or if I were to have a special character here, I would need to have that kind of special character string in single quotes because it's in a formula. So I'm going to do row.1, and then I'm going to do column dot single quote 1 is equal to 0.0025 for my 1/4%. Okay, and you can see that populated each one of these, which I think is great because if I were to add another item, of course, it's going to populate that. So that's the beauty of having these formulas in a central location. But now what I want to do is I want to say, well, this next one is equal to the previous one plus 0.025%. So how am I going to do that? I would simply say column this is equal to column previous plus 0.0025. Now I could have this 0.0025 in another matrix and just reference it, but you can see when I do that, that again, this is, going up to 1/2%, this is 3/4, and this is 1. So that's working for me the way I would expect it. Problem is I now want this one on row 2, I want it to go back up to row 1, column 4, or the last column here, and add just 1/4% to it. So this would be 1.25. Okay, so how I would do that, again, is I would say row this, which means the row that I'm on, and the column that is first, I want it to equal, so I'm saying this one right here, the row that I'm on, and the column that is first, which is this one, which is all of these right here, I want it to equal the row previous, column last. And I want to add 0.0025%. And when I do that, I can see that it's working exactly the way I want it to work, right? I have 1/4% here, I have 50% or 1/2%, 3/4, and then a full percent, and then I go down. I add 1.25, 1.5, 1.75, and 2, all the way to 5%. So I absolutely love this. It was really helpful in creating the waffle chart I was doing in Tableau. Just fantastic. But the beauty of this is maybe I wanted to show more than 5% here. And And if that's the case, I can simply go ahead and I can add another column here, right? And now I'm getting up to 1.25% across the top row, and I'm getting 6.25% down here. If I wanted to add more rows, I can go ahead and I can just add more rows, right? And I can get to 10% very quickly. So I like this because I think it really shows a great example of how recursion within Quantrix really does enable scale and complexity. And if I wanted to, bring snowshoe over here and have it look maybe just a little bit different, I can do that. And then I could go ahead and I could add, another product, which would be mountain bike or something like that. And yeah, these are all 1/4%, 50%. But again, if I were to move this back over to here, it's working, just beautifully the way I would expect it. I would expect these to go from 0 to 10%, and then I go down here to mountain bike, and again, I would expect this to go to 0.025% all the way to 10%. So really great example of how scalable Quantrix is with recursion. I hope you found that useful. If you have any questions about recursion, I do hope that you'll reach out to me at quantrixauthority at gmail.com and ask me that question so I can answer it for free here at the podcast. I absolutely love Quantrix. I do want to make you a Quantrix master. So please join me again for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.